Philip Deneau. Here's the debate. The big question here is, should the Canadians re-sign Philip Deneau? Is that fair? Is that the big question here? Does it make sense, right? Okay.
Depends what he wants.
I don't think he's getting it. He should be around 5. You give him the Pajot deal. Like, that's what you give him. Okay? Now, Alex, what was your... Why shouldn't they?
You cannot pay a third-line center, which he will be a third-line center, $5 million. And
why not?
Go look at the New York Islanders right now and tell me how they're going to re-sign Matthew Barzal and Ryan Pulock. Like, teams are eventually going to get into this. A team who's paying a third-line center $5 million will like eventually get into this situation.
But then
Adam, other guys are going to get paid.
Yeah, but okay, good. All right. So here's where I disagree with you. Is first of all, like, I look at stuff like Tampa Bay, they got in trouble, yes, because they had Tyler Johnson and Yanni Gordon making 5 on their bottom 6. And again, wingers, if you have to overpay anywhere and for any sort of player, I would argue you get a top 5 Selke guy and you pay him for a center. Now, if that means that you have to go ELCs and cheap, options on your wing, you do that. The Canadians are not a team. If I have belief that a team like the Leafs that have 4 players at $40 million, when the Canadians, yes, Price makes $10 million, Shea Weber makes less than 8. And then everyone else they're a team that is built to score by committee. And if you can afford, even if it's just your center, to be a bit more pricey down there, I think you do it. It's just you can't have a guy like Paul Byron making the money he does. I just think it's a different sort of conversation.
But it has nothing to do. I didn't even bring up Toronto.
Alex, I didn't say you did.
Right, but you use Toronto as an example, and they're in a very different circumstance where they're paying 4 guys $40 million, and I don't agree with that. But you look at other teams who are going to pay big guys, they cannot afford to have a $5 million center as their $5 million guy as their third line center. You have to sacrifice other things. You have to be willing to sacrifice that your bottom 6 is probably going to be mostly replacement level guys. And the defense isn't going to be as deep. And again, those guys are going to be on ELCs too. So those are all that, like, you're going to have to make other sacrifices to have $5 million as your third line center.
It's the most important position in the game beside goaltending. I think it's an option. And again, you then all of a sudden have this fantastic defensively minded player who has made guys like Tatar, and now I understand he'll be third line center, but he makes the game easier for other players. He allows them to go and be able to play their game. He makes it easier for everyone else on the ice. And again, the Islanders you brought up, they have guys like Komarov making, what does he make, 2.7 or something? You can't do that with you can keep that center down there if you don't overpay your fourth line. You can't do that. It's not much different.
Okay, so an average third line guy makes how much? On the wing, a winger.
Who's the third line winger?
Just an average third line winger. What would you be comfortable paying him at?
What does Craig Smith make? $3 million?
Yeah.
Third line winger, yeah.
So give me a second.
Let me just pull this up. $2 million.
2-3 million, yeah. Around there. But then you rely on your young guys. You rely on the guys with ELCs and that. Bergevin has just admitted that. I mean, that is, at any point, if you have a successful team, you have to rely on having those young guys on cheaper contracts. And Tampa are getting in trouble with it right now. But the Canadians do not have to pay a single guy $8 or $9 million. Sorry, multiple guys. They pay Carey Price $10 million, yes. But they don't have to pay Kucherov 9 and whatever. Hedman, here's what's really funny. Hedman and Lever have like the same cap hit. It's very, very close. It's insane how good that deal is. Especially like Hedman, because Lever is a bit older, a lot older.
Mm-hmm.
And because I get, like, Steven Stamkos, like, injury problems, 2 seasons ago nearly scored 50 again. If Nick Suzuki turns into 7, and I hope he does. If he turns into that, and the same with Kotkaniemi, sure. And if you have to bridge them, Yes, it's going to cause you troubles later on, but they have a window, and that window is the lifespan of Price and Weber, and you do whatever you can. And again, if you cheap out on your depth guys, yes, that's fine. That's not a problem. If you don't have the best fourth line wingers, you can make up for having a quality depth center like Phil Deneau. And it's not like he may have said, I don't want to play third line center, but his agent just said he wants to re-sign. So he recognizes his role and he still wants to stay. And you get that player, you have that quality, you have that skill set.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. If he wants to be third line center, that's fine. I'm just saying I don't think the $5 million is justifiable.
Then I guess we're just not going to see eye to eye.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
If Yanni Gourde, if Tampa won a cup, paying their top guys what they pay, and Yanni Gourde is making $5 million, I will gladly give my third line center again.
And look at the trouble they're in.
Yeah, because again,
and Yanni Gourde's not a third line guy.
Line because they have the top line guys. Montreal will. Nick Suzuki is not going to make $9 million, and even if he does reach that level of player, because the situation the world is in with the cap going flat, he's not going to make that money. He won't. It's just as simple as that. And if you have to sacrifice Paul Byron, you sacrifice Paul Byron. If you need to sacrifice Ben Chiarot, you sacrifice Ben Chiarot. Because look, Tampa also, if we're looking at them, their left side was garbage. It was just you had a quality right side, and that's exactly what Montreal have. You have a window, you freaking go for it.
No, they have a quality left side. Hedman, McDonough.
Sorry, yeah, I got it mixed up. Yeah. Hedman, McDonough, Sergachev, and then the right side is like Bogosian, Jan Rutta.
And Shattenkirk.
And yeah, Shattenkirk's fine, but I mean like defending your
Erik Cernak.
Erik Cernak.
Oh, yeah.
I think it makes perfect sense for the Canadians to do it. That's just, it's just in my opinion. I think you do it. And you know what?
It just, I think for like, this is just my opinion. Like, I think it just depends on where you want to go with this. I don't think they have to give him an extension right away, but just to see how things go, because like Phil Deneau's really kind of surprised me the last few years of what he can be. But at the same time, it's just like, how much are you willing to pay on expected on what you want to do? Because the Canadians could still surprise coming out of this. It's just, like I think about Jordan Staal in this situation where, he's probably playing a lot deeper minutes now in Carolina, but, you can still see him being that third line guy. But at the same time, too, like, it's like he's been like that his whole career. Or if I look at Andrew Ladd when he was on Carolina or when he was on Chicago, where, he's still getting that similar cap hit. But at the same time, too, he was playing the third line, even when the Blackhawks won. Or when Jordan Staal, even when the Penguins won in 2009, he was playing that third line and he was still getting quite a bit of money. And I think it just really depends on what you're going to kind of see yourself with a guy like Phil Deneau at that age, because the examples I just used were a lot younger than him at that time.